Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are live once again, Global Thought Space on uh, CxO Global TV. CxO Global Forum is a knowledge sharing platform for all C levels across Pakistan and the globe. Each time we try and contribute to the knowledge economy through our members who are either C levels or influencers who have a reasonable amount of clout and influence in the corporate leadership throughout the world. Each time we've got a topic and a theme, and this time we have a very interesting theme that we're discussing. We've chosen diversity in the workplace and why it's important. Especially what the last year taught us was that it is very important to remain one agile, and secondly also be very effective in terms of your HR. So when we talk about diversity, we not only talk about diversity in terms of employees, in terms of their race, their gender, ethnicity, religion, but also in terms of their professionalism, in terms of their values and ethics, and also in terms of where they're coming from. So, which parts of the world they're coming from, what experiences, what skill set they have, and how important it is to bring people who are diverse and create that diverse team. Because what we have also learned with the pandemic is that it is important for people to have that team who can multitask and take on additional roles. To discuss this topic further, we've got domain experts with us, and they are our members as well. They've been significant contributors. So let's learn from them and let's make this global thought space their success. Joining us today, we've got Mr. Emmet Javed, who's a cybersecurity strategist. He is someone who's a regular on our shows. He's had tremendous experience, especially in the Middle East, with cybersecurity and artificial intelligence. Then next, we've got with us Mr. Naim Emmet. He's the head of ICT and the Chief Information Security Officer at Ornua. Syed Adnan Saab is joining us in the Global Thought Space for the first time. However, he has massive experience. He has, been a principal architect. He's worked with Microsoft. He's been a systems analyst, and he is someone who has really seen the transition of, or let's say, the evolution of the IT industry. And obviously, these two people are bringing a lot to the table. The third person that we have with us, joining us today, is Dr. Naim Emmet. He's the Chief Digital Information Officer at Joffman Group of Companies. So Dr. Naim is just going to be joining us in a minute or two. And a lot that's been going on regarding, the happenings in the IT sector and how the world is changing. We're going to be discussing all these trends and more. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. Starting with you, Adnan Saab, since it's your first time on the show. So, what does diversity in the workplace mean to you?
To me, we need to think about diversity, equity, and inclusion together. That it's not about only the gender gap or racial gap. You have to think about giving everyone equal opportunity and fairness when you treat your employees. So, for example, I'm based here in Ireland. We need to be. What we are seeing here is there is a gender gap at the board level, but also what we are seeing here is that we need to apply fairness when we are hiring people, and we are giving them equal opportunity, because when people are coming from different backgrounds, they may not have the same maybe background from where they are coming from, but we need to give them the same opportunity. So the innovation thrive together. So we can't really think about just doing innovation on our own. It's on its own. So what we need to look into is around create an environment which gives us an innovation, and that can thrive the whole company because of innovation. So it's a very important part, in my opinion, where you can extract maximum value out of it.
Right, absolutely. So I would like to ask Adnan Emmet Javed Saab. So मुझे ये बताएं कि what does diversity in the workplace mean to you? Because you have been dealing with a very separate, different kind of sector.
Yeah, I mean, primarily the the way I take this thing as a very important management control, where we management officials basically maintain that balance within a different set of groups within the organization. Because while understanding, the leadership challenges in any organization, primarily one of the fundamental challenges to maintain, by understanding the political ecosystem within the organization and maintain some certain level of control over the workforce to ensure the maximum productivity in any of such any organization setting. So that's where maintaining and keeping that balance with respect to gender, with respect to nationality, or with respect to any ethnic background is important to avoid the polarization of power within the organization, because that is one of the key, I would say, the anti-force which can destabilize the productivity system of any organization. So the way I see is important management control.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, sir. We're also going to be studying some certain examples that we've seen, throughout Pakistan and the world, where we've seen diverse workplace cultures, and really wanted to bring a few things to the table. Next, we talk about how when Adnan Saab had mentioned, just diversity in the workplace in particular. So we also have to keep in mind that when we talk about diversity and giving people an equal chance, there are often some buzzwords that are very much confused these days, especially with young graduate, and they talk about equity, not equality. They talk about inclusion, not equal opportunity. So, could you explain a little more about this since you've been in the leadership position for some time?
Yeah, I think sometimes people confuse between equality and equity. In inclusion, equity is very important, where you give everyone equal opportunity and embrace people from different backgrounds. So for example, if I have to collect my kids from school, it's okay, it's normal. It should be appreciated because I have a family. That's called equity, that you are treating people fairly rather than equal. For example, someone is coming from a background where the person has not got the opportunity to study from one of the top university. It doesn't really matter. You have to give that person the same equal opportunity to thrive within the career, within the company. So that to me is more important, equity, than equality. Because equality means you say, okay, you can bring people from the same university. That's not equality. You need to think about how we can bring people from underprivileged background, how we
Right.
need to give
Give them
people
that fair
access.
chance.
Yes, those who are underprivileged or coming from a background where they didn't get an opportunity. Same as making sure that you're having a gender balance, irrespective of the type of the job. So sometimes what I have seen, people perceive that the specific type of job is for a specific type of people. So it's not always that if a woman has to do work in the kitchen, why not a male person can do work in the kitchen? So it's the same thing. So we sometimes perceive these things. There was a study I was reading about it, and in the school age, between 5 to 7 years of age, it it becomes in your mind as a child that the certain professions are dedicated to certain type of people. So
Absolutely.
if you ask a kid about whether you want to become a fighter pilot, you think that it has to be a male candidate. Why? So we normally have to educate our kids as well from school to make sure that they understand everyone has equal opportunity, and they are being treated fairly as well.
Very true. नान साहब आपने बहुत important बातें की हैं. Let us also welcome Dr. Naim Emmet. He's just joined us. Sir, आपका intro मैंने पहले ही दे दिया था. But this is welcome to the Global Thought Space. I believe आप थोड़े से late हो गए. We are speaking about diversity in the workplace. And before we come to you, I think there's a pressing matter that we would like to address with Emma Javed Saab, since he's been working in the Middle East. So often there is, just like Adnan Saab mentioned, that you have to uh, incorporate women and create that gender balance, and then um, a lot of professions are associated, especially when we talk about the tech industry, mostly in our part of the world. it's associated with men. So you see a lot of developers, they're boys, or you see a lot of, even in the tech industry, if you're talking about, content architects or, so we've mostly seen, even in the universities, they're mostly men that are opting for these. So what is the trend that you've observed in the Middle East, and how do you think this can be tackled, if at all?
From diversity perspective, the one very important thing which we need to consider here is that the acceptance of a different talent from a different level of talent pools. What I mean is the acceptability of women in place particularly. It's best in a very gradual way. The pace is slow, but it's increasing. When I take an example of particularly Middle East, like when here it's an enhanced demand now to invite like women in a leadership position. And when I would say from my observation, more ladies are coming into leadership positions and in particularly healthcare industry and technology industry as well. Not only the leadership positions as well as in technical as well. So it should be appreciated, it should be welcomed, but there should be a proper, well-established mindset. That cannot be done without a proper mechanisms and the background environment management needs to provide in a workplace. So that's a coordinated effort, and yes, that's the change which we need to enable in an organization has to a well thought of process, which requires a lot of awareness, enhance, and
So
most
what do
important,
women? Sorry, go
yeah.
on. So मैं आपको ये बताना चाह रही थी कि what exactly is it that women bring to the table? Last time when we were having this corporate governance discussion,
Mhm.
we heard that one quality that generally women bring into the workplace, and this is an appropriate conversation, which is why I'm taking some time, because on the 8th of March it is International Women's Day. And what better way of empowering women than giving them an economic empowerment, bringing them into the workplace rather than, creating, political conflict. So, yes, so when we talk about this issue, they say that with women leadership, you bring a lot of empathy and creativity. How far have you experienced that in your line of work?
See, primarily, if you ask about from me in particular, I mean, I have experienced the highest level of empathy that the way it's been practiced by the women in the leadership roles is I don't think so. It's no way even closer than that men. Generally, men can be exercised. Reason being, they are more tolerant, they are more adaptive, and they are more, I would say, they find a more innovative ways to um, to have work done. Now, men being more dominant, I would say, in general, and more, um, I would say, it's straightforward, and that basically can create a lot of friction. But it's end of the day, it requires a balance. When we have to use a combination of the strict dominance, compliance, and of course the empathy and understandability.
Right,
Now,
absolutely. Sorry, go on. Thank you, sir. We're going to go to Dr. Naeem Saab. Sir, आपने हमें थोड़ा सा late join किया है, but we obviously, we're aware of the topic. We were speaking about diversity in the workplace, and yes, right now we've spoken about gender, we've spoken about different backgrounds that employees are hired from. We've also spoken about equality and inclusion, so like bringing people from underprivileged areas. But sir, मुझे ये बताइएगा कि we also need to bring different skill sets into the business. How does diversity come in when you bring in people from different backgrounds with different talents and different skills? Sir, mic mute हुआ हुआ है आपका. I think, sir, your mic is mute. Can't hear you. जी इसको unmute कर लीजिएगा. Sir, we can't hear you. I'm sorry. जी जी
अब आवाज आ रही है?
जी, आपको आपकी आवाज अब आ रही है जी, प्लीज गो ऑन।
थैंक यू। Your first question about diversity, and diversity basically जो है वो different kind of sects के अंदर है। लेकिन अगर इन पाकिस्तान अगर हम देखते हैं तो हमारे पास जो जेंडर वाइज है वो इन द फील्ड ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी वो बिल्कुल सेम है, यानी कि मेल और फीमेल के लिए बिल्कुल बहुत अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं मौजूद हैं, और जो है फीमेल्स जो है वो बहुत ज्यादा डोमिनेट कर रही हैं आईटी फील्ड में। फॉर एग्जांपल जैसे ग्राफिक डिजाइनिंग है, जैसे गेम डिजाइनिंग है, और इस तरह की जो फील्ड हैं इसमें बहुत ज्यादा जो खवातीन का रोल है। लेकिन दूसरी इंडस्ट्रीज में भी है, लेकिन जो दूसरी जो इंडस्ट्रीज है लाइक हम एग्रीकल्चर की बात करते हैं तो वहाँ डेफिनेटली जो है डोमिनेंस नहीं है। लेकिन पाकिस्तान में जो आईटी के खास तौर पे टेक्नोलॉजी के हवाले से जितनी भी फील्ड्स मौजूद हैं उन सब में जो है वो जेंडर में कोई डिफरेंस नहीं है। अच्छा, जो दूसरा एस्पेक्ट है कि वो ये कि ये डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट से जो लोग काम करते हैं, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल जो जिनकी जो डिफरेंट बैकग्राउंड होते हैं, लाइक कुछ लोग टेक्नोलॉजी है, प्लस जो है वो फाइनेंस में भी है, एचआर में भी है, मल्टीपल टैलेंटेड लोग हैं। तो इस तरह के जो लोग हैं वो डिफरेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में मौजूद हैं, और कोविड-19 की वजह से ऐसे लोगों को बेनिफिट हुआ, बहुत सारे लोग जॉबलेस भी हुए, लेकिन जो डाइवर्सिफाइड किस्म के लोग जो थे वो फिर भी अपनी जॉब को जो है वो कंटिन्यू कर पाए, और वो उन लोगों के ऊपर इतना इम्पैक्ट नहीं हुआ। लेकिन पाकिस्तान में अब ये एक ट्रेंड नया आ रहा है जिसमें जो है वो डाइवर्सिफाइड वर्क प्लेसेस के हवाले से जो है कंसिडरेशन हो रही हैं, और इसमें लोकल और इंटरनेशनल लोगों को जो है मिक्स करके एक 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 ऐसी इन्वायरमेंट क्रिएट की जा रही है ताकि हम उससे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के जो बेटर गोल्स हैं वो हम हासिल कर सकें।
राइट, थैंक यू सर, डॉक्टर नईम साहब। अच्छा सर, थोड़ा सा हम कुछ केस स्टडीज की तरफ चलते हैं। अदनान साहब, we've been observing some successful case studies over the years, and let's talk about the very obvious one, Google. So we all know that a couple of years ago, Mr. Sundar Pichai took over. We all know of his background. Do you think this diversity was more like a publicity stunt? Do you think this significantly brought a new flavor to Google?
I personally don't think, but there may be companies where this is happening. That Sundar Pichai was talented, and he graduated from India and then moved to Microsoft, and they spent a lot of time. He was part of Google Chrome, for example, and other products. So he deserved to be a CEO rather than because of his gender bias. But the companies, especially multinational companies, are taking these things seriously, whereby a person from a different ethnic background should be given the equal opportunity. And this is an example of what Microsoft has done it. And it's not only Microsoft, there are other global companies that you see where the people from ethnic backgrounds are now the CEO of those companies. And you can see once these people from the ethnic backgrounds are given the opportunity, the companies are really successful. As you can see from Microsoft perspective, when Sundar Pichai joined as CEO, it's totally different company. He brought the whole cloud element of it,
Yes.
which was missing. So it is still happening in companies. For example, you should not be thinking about, okay, we need to do the gender balance, for example. It's becoming a quite big thing here in Ireland, whereby equal pay
Yes.
gap. So they are looking
Equal
for the
pay
male
gap.
and female has pay gaps, and there are countries who are making laws that if female counterparts should be getting the same salary level, and that is an issue here in Ireland as well, whereby companies are looking into that. So it is still an issue, but it's being handled, it's being tackled, and companies are working towards. They are quite conscious about giving opportunity to people from different background, different race, different culture, religion, and everything.
Right.
Especially I can talk about here in Ireland. Yeah.
Right. Emmet Javed sir, we've also one advantage that comes from diversity in the workplace, and we've observed this, is bringing a variety of perspectives. So, for instance, earlier Nansab had mentioned that we do, when you bring in people from even underprivileged background, maybe they're coming up with new ideas or a different, fresh perspective that we may or may not have overlooked. Have you experienced this in your workplace ever? And how important
Indeed,
is
it is.
perspectives?
From my experience, it is one of the very positive management control, not from a power balance point of view, from from an innovation perspective as well. When the people coming from a different background, cultural backgrounds, and different the mindsets, and different level of different caliber of experiences as well, definitely share some new ideas. They introduce what do you call them, their own different perspectives. But however, one important thing is here that once again, which I want to highlight, is that this whole effort needs to be supported by a well-defined environment. An effort needs to be done to develop that mindset in the organization as well, where everyone feel comfortable in sharing the ideas, and openly, that will not be taken negatively, and so on. So this whole effort, diversity, is a blessing if that is supported by a well thought of enabling mindset. If not, then I wouldn't say that, I mean, diversity is the right thing to practice in such an environment.
Right. Thank you, sir. Dr. Naeem Saab, I was reading a research article by the Scientific American Journal, and it says that varied points of view result in a more well-rounded workforce. It makes people work harder, more creative, and deliver a higher quality of work. So, does this actually lead to better problem solving in the work environment? What's your opinion?
I think that it will help, for getting the organization goals. I think that there are five benefits get from this diversity. Organization get the new perspectives, and get organization get the wider talent pool, more innovation in the work, and better employee performance, and definitely increase in the profile, in the increase in the profits. That will help organization, that they will follow the diversified workspaces in their organization. This term is new for Pakistan, but in all over the world, like Google is, and Microsoft, they also they also agree that they provide better workplace for different regions of peoples.
Right, absolutely, sir. Mr. Adnan, what we've learned post-pandemic is that it's not just about the people, but also the culture of the company. So, especially in Pakistan, you're sitting in Ireland, but throughout the world as well, we've seen some shifts in workplace culture. So, for example, because of the pandemic, we shifted to work from home for a lot of organizations, like 90% of them. Then there was also talk about flexible working hours, things like that. That in itself is also bringing diversity to the workplace. Do you think these different practices and making the work environment diverse, for example, giving flexible working hours, do you think this is going to be beneficial or detrimental in the long run?
I think it's very beneficial. We are already seeing benefits of it. Like the management were always wary of, oh, when people are working from home, are they really working or doing their own work? There was self of trust element was a big thing. But when we all are working from home in all over the world, management has seen that the benefit of it. They are saying the productivity is not even lost, it's even more. What I've seen here that people used to work like 9 to 5, and now they are working maybe even 7 or 8 p.m. They can plan their work. I heard about a company, they are thinking about removing the annual leaves. Why? Because they're saying you need to just do your work. We don't really mind whether you take 20 days annual leave or 30 days annual leave. We just need to get the work done. So the perception is changed quite a lot post pandemic. So, and it's good. The area which needs to be changed within this, which is still happening, is allow people to speak up and listen to differences. Let's listen to opinions. It's not
Listen.
enough in inclusivity that if I allow people to speak in the meeting, in any meeting, but not really taking consideration of what someone is talking about. So you have to give the same equal respect of whoever is talking based on different background. And the main benefit for this is everyone is different, and it's okay that if we are different. The most important thing is we listen to them, and based on their listening, we get the idea. Everyone has different idea. If you have people, if you have diverse culture within your team, you have people, female people, people from different race and background, they may have different experience of thinking about the same thing. So it gives you additional opportunity, gives you new perspective. So I think what I've seen that if the team is more diverse, it is going to be more innovative. It brings more ideas. And 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 another thing I would like to highlight is, when people are working from home, we are giving our employees an opportunity to balance work-life balance. They do themselves. So if I have to collect my kids, I can collect my kids at half 8 or 9, and I can start at 10 o'clock. But same things, I may have to go for jogging in the evening. I can do some of the work in the evening as well. So the work-life balance is helping people when they are working from home. And where we are going in Ireland is looking like we'll go into the hybrid model, whereby employers will allow employees to either work 2 days, 3 days a week, or you can decide which day you want to come to work as well. So I think we need to look into the fine balance post-pandemic, where it's up to employees and employer to decide how they would like to work post-pandemic. Is it completely work from home, or is a hybrid? Every company is
Absolutely.
different.
Hybrid models, that's what the future is all about.
Yeah.
Dr. Naim Sab, हम जब diversity की बात करते हैं तो Adnan साहब had really pointed out something very important कि we need to be able to listen to other people on the table, regardless of you know, the corporate ladder and the stage of it that they are coming from. तो आपने क्या ऑब्जर्व किया है कि क्या ये डिफरेंट ओपिनियंस लेना अपनी वर्क प्लेस के अंदर do they have a significant impact on productivity or growth of the business?
I think that that is better for organization, and this will create innovation in the organization. बेसिकली डिफरेंट जब डिफरेंट थॉट्स को आप लेते हैं तो उससे आपको पता चलता है कि आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में जो बेटरमेंट है वो किस तरह से मुमकिन है। और सबसे ज्यादा जो जो हेल्पफुल है वो है चेंज मैनेजमेंट। किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर जब कोई प्रोजेक्ट इंप्लीमेंट हो रहा था तो उसमें जो चेंज मैनेजमेंट है उसका बहुत रोल है। इस वजह से जो है अगर डिफरेंस ऑफ ओपिनियन होगा तो आप कहीं ना कहीं आपको पता चलेगा कि जी आपके डिफरेंट लोग जो हैं वो किस तरीके से एक चीज को अचीव करने के लिए डिफरेंट किस्म के आइडियाज बता रहे हैं। और डेफिनेटली जिसकी वजह से बेनिफिट ये होता है कि आपको उस गोल को अचीव करने के लिए बहुत सारे वेज आपके पास आ जाते हैं और आप डिसाइड करते हैं कि जी विच वन इज बेटर। and this culture will create an innovation in the organization, and it will help to raise the profit also.
Absolutely, that's very true. I think Mr. Emmet Javed has taken a brief break. So before going to him any further, Mr. Adnan, there's one more aspect that comes into diversity when we're talking about diversity in the workplace. And this also has to do with your education and you know, what kind of skill set that you come. Like we said again, uh, what we experienced post pandemic, and I keep bringing up the pandemic, is because we have learned, at least मेरी observation थोड़ी सी ये है कि in the past year we have learned and grown exponentially in terms of our thoughts and our minds, because we all had to do a lot of firefighting and coming up with new ways. It was something completely novel situation. So when you, especially because you are someone that has, mashallah, a lot of years of experience with Microsoft as well, and to take those as successful case studies, we've seen that they always encourage employees to get new certifications, bring in a newer skill set. Do you think it's just something that is actually a necessity या एक luxury है जो certain organizations को ही suit करती है?
First of all, I'll correct one thing, that I have never worked for Microsoft, but I have worked quite close with Microsoft in Ireland. So I think you're right. This is a responsibility employer to give equal opportunity to individuals, and the different types of training. Sometimes what happens with people and employees, it's there's unconscious bias at the senior management level that I never thought about. I am discriminating something, but I am doing it. Sometimes you never thought about. One example is if you're giving a piece of work to one of your colleague, you always go to the person who you always go to. Why not you give opportunity to someone who is different from you? Could be from different background, different race, and different culture. So we have to give equal opportunity within our team, not only because they are different, is because to make sure we bring inclusiveness within the team, and then they feel part of it. And once they feel part of it, they will give you opportunity, and they will give you also different ideas, and they will feel part of it, which means you bring new ideas from them. So it also allows you to have different types of innovation which you never thought about it. So I've seen this is very important point, and encourage employees as well.
Right. Emma Javed Saab, same question to you, because, a lot of times what we have also seen, and please, if you can quote a personal example, how did, such diversity lead to, let's say, a successful decision at your end in your line of work?
See, certainly, I mean, diversification in terms of the skill set is something which is needs to be nurtured, which needs to be supported from a management perspective. And from your second part of the question was like, whether it's an organizational need today or it's just luxury. I mean, from my perspective, and I was been in a consulting and big four most of my life. In that such in competitive environments, these certifications are considered as like a benchmark for assessing the skill set. Such as if I'll take my example, when I was working in a supervisory role, I was asked to get one level of certification if I need to secure my managerial position for a promotion. So yes, there is a need, and once again, like management or the leadership has to invest in development of the skill set in order to help the team nurture their skills, promote, protect, and to support in a career growth perspective. However, for people from a different skill set, that always bring a different ideas, tools to solve a more complicated problems. So biggest challenge today in work organization setting is that developing such a positive, healthy work environment, well diversified, which helps motivating everyone and solving complex business problems. If we are able to achieve that as a leadership official, I think I can consider myself as a success.
Right, absolutely. Naim Saab, we also, one more important thing that we've seen in terms of diversity, and especially within the banking or financial sector, is that a lot of times we also benefit heavily from the fact that it helps to have experienced people and then also fresh minds together on the same table. And sometimes it also creates conflict. क्योंकि जब आप इतनी डाइवर्सिटी लेके आते हैं, there is a conflict of interest that happens. How have you seen or experienced such situations, and how can they be tackled?
एक्चुअली ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो है वो अपने हिसाब से एक बैलेंस स्कोर कार्ड रखती है कि बेसिकली कि कितने लोग जो हैं वो फ्रेश लोग हैं और कितने जो है एक्सपीरियंस लोग हैं। इसमें ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को जो जो टॉप लेवल मैनेजमेंट है उसको उसमें जो है वो बैलेंस करना होता है कि जी कितने एक्सपीरियंस लोग जो हैं वो हमारे रिक्वायर्ड होंगे और कितने फ्रेश लोग हैं। अच्छा, फ्रेश लोग जो हैं वो जो एक्सपीरियंस लोग होते हैं उनके साथ मिलके एक बहुत अच्छी टीम बना सकते हैं, लेकिन बहुत ज़्यादा फ्रेश लोग होंगे तो डेफिनेटली वो आउटपुट नहीं आ सकेगा। अच्छा, जो आपने जो सर्टिफिकेशन के हवाले से जो क्वेश्चन पूछा है, मैं उसमें थोड़ा एड ऑन करना चाहता हूँ कि मोस्टली जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन होती हैं वो डेफिनेटली लोगों को ट्रेनिंग प्रोवाइड करती हैं कि ताकि लोग जो हैं वो उनकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए प्रोडक्टिविटी पैदा करें। और जो डिफरेंट किस्म की ट्रेनिंग्स होती हैं, जो सर्टिफिकेशंस होती हैं, डेफिनेटली दैट विल क्रिएट अ बेंचमार्क फॉर द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और दैट विल आल्सो हेल्प टू गेट द टारगेट्स, बट दिस इज नॉट नेसेसरी। आपके अगर स्किल सेट अगर बहुत अच्छे हैं, अगर आपने सर्टिफिकेशन नहीं भी की हुई तो आप वो तमाम गोल्स अचीव कर सकते हैं। you should have to prepare the talent for the targeted technology.
Right, absolutely. So we do not keep track of time, but we're already, because we were having a productive conversation, and this is such an important topic. So not just diversity in terms of gender, in terms of skill set, in terms of different socioeconomic background, culture, ethics, uh, experience, but also multitude of other factors. And we will be continuing this topic again with you all, inshallah. I would like to get a summary of the discussion today. One-liners, your last thoughts on the topic, starting with you, Emma Javed Sahib.
Then, at the last minute, what I want to say is like diversification is an important management control which needs to be nurtured, supported in a well-defined, positive environment with the positive mindset.
Right. Thank you so much. Anand, over to you.
I think it's everyone's responsibility at the management level to bring diversity and inclusion. And there are different ways to do it. If you have a team member who is shy, you need to make sure that the person is getting opportunity to speak up, for example. If you have someone from different backgrounds, take that person for a lunch so that he or she will feel part of your team. So it's not about just trying to balance male and female number of employees in the board. It's about making sure that you bring the inclusiveness. They feel part of the team, and if they feel part of the team, that's where you nurture the growth, the innovation, whereby they are not afraid of saying something in front of everyone else. They are feeling
Yeah,
part of the team.
very true. Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Naim.
I think that this is the responsibility of the top management who decides which type of diversification they require in their organization, and which kind of people they want to hire in the organization to get diversification. This is all totally about the top management perspective. उनका क्या ख्याल है और उनकी क्या डायरेक्शन है, क्या टारगेट्स हैं और किस तरह के वो इंक्लूजन चाहते हैं. It is totally about totally depend upon the top management perspective.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us today. It's been an honor and a privilege. Thank you for taking out time. And we will be in touch in the future. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hearing us out. Sorry about the technical glitches whenever there are some. But we at CxO Global Forum try and bring new ideas and perspectives to you all the time. And we try and contribute to the knowledge economy because we feel like this is the need of the hour. And the more we educate ourselves, and the more aware we are, the better we can contribute to our workplace, the more productive we can be. And let's build that better corporate governance. Let's build a better world. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank
Allah
you.
Hafiz. Thank you.